Fine audience, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the podcast of Somantix. We have Rhys Harrison,
G'day.
Jelly
Yeah,
Tupek,
Tupek.
and our special guest, Karen Junge,
Hi.
and her boyfriend, Buckley,
How are we all?
Don't forget the loyal and faithful Darby Centra.
and myself, Darby Centra. Today we are discussing what, Rhys Harrison?
We're discussing diagnosis. Diagnosis in an osteopathic term, diagnosis in terms of how individuals may perceive a certain type of diagnosis, good or bad. We've got Karen in here today to talk about her diagnosis of retinitis pigmentosa. And when I heard about this, I immediately was really interested because I myself have been diagnosed with a particular type of eye condition. And personally, when I was diagnosed with that, it sent my life through bad places. And hearing Karen's story, I felt that there was things that we should share, and there was things that we should open up about because it interested me, your story, Karen. And, personally, I like that sort of deep personal stories, which gains a lot of empathy and all those things. So, Karen, thank you for coming on, and thank you for opening up about this and sharing it with people who are listening.
It's not a problem. It's good to talk about it.
Yeah, it is good to talk about it. That's the main thing. I remember when I was diagnosed, I was really shut off for a long time because I was told that I was going blind, and thankfully I'm not. However, for yourself, it's a different story, and that side of it is something that I think we're all really inspired by. The fact that you're doing a certain course, osteopathy, based on the fact that you have this condition, and we'd just like to divulge and sort of, in a sense, pick that apart because it inspires me, it motivates me, and it puts a lot of things into perspective. That even though you might have been dealt with a somewhat
Shitty hand.
yeah, poor hand, that you can still use it, and your life hasn't been completely thrown away. It's just you do things differently at times. And, for me, and I'm sure the other two here, that's incredible.
It's actually made my life a lot easier in a lot of ways for now. It's going to get harder, but there's so many benefits to it right now, which is really helpful. Apparently, blind people make the best osteopaths because you're less distracted. So you can give more to your palpation. You have to focus harder and you can feel more easily.
Yeah.
Also, I get free public transport everywhere.
Oh, that's handy.
I can't drive, which really sucks, but you save a hell of a lot of money on registration and petrol and everything.
Yeah.
And I do get a blind pension. So while I'm studying, I'm not having to work like everyone else is. I can devote, all 100% of my time into it, into studying. And it's paying off. I'm doing well, but I feel a bit guilty because there's, more time that I have to put into it, a bit more focus.
But it is what it is, Karen. And if you don't mind, would you be able to give us just a brief history on what, is it retinosis pigmentosa?
You're so close. Retinitis pigmentosa.
Retinitis, right. Could you just explain a little bit for our listeners what that is and how old you were when you were diagnosed?
Yep. So I'm 25 now, and I found out that I had it when I was 12 years old. It's a hereditary eye disease of the retina, which is the back of the eye, which is where your eye receives the light and then transfers the signal to the brain.
The rods.
Yeah, rods and cones.
Yep.
So retinitis pigmentosa, it's a slow, progressive hereditary disease where your cones are fine, but your rods are slowly dying off. And my mum found out that she had it when she was probably mid-30s. And like I said, it's hereditary, but she's the first one in our family to have gotten it. Wow. She has no idea where it came from. And her family's been quite hard on her for it. They don't like to talk about it, like when we're asking them, is there anyone back in the history who, might have gone blind early, and they seem almost insulted, like they have got flawed genetics. And Mum was worried for a while that she might have got it when she had a motorbike accident. and also lots of drugs in the 70s. She was worried she might have brought it on.
Oh, yes.
I had the opportunity to chat to a genetic counsellor once. He was actually doing uni, and it was part of his course to chat with someone who actually had a condition to learn how to be sensitive in conversation. And he found out that it's completely in your genes. There's nothing you can do about it. So there's nothing that she's done to bring it on, which is the biggest relief for her. She cried when she heard that. But when you have kids, there's a 50-50 chance that they can get it. So my big sister, she didn't get it, and her kids won't be able to get it. But I unfortunately did. I found out that I had it when I was 12, and my first reaction was, oh my God, I'm more like my mum. You know, I was stoked because she was my role model, and I got to be just like her. But I think it was maybe 2 days later, I woke up in the morning and I was devastated. Like, it really hit me hard. And I was just crying my eyes out. And Mum came in and I told her, and she was crying her eyes out. And we probably had a good cry session for about 15 minutes or something. And then my dad came in and kind of clapped his hands, and he's like, all right, come on, get up, ready for school. And
Such a dad thing. Yeah, you can't do anything about it now. Just get on with work. Go.
it was exactly what we needed. Hey, it just kind of snapped me out of it. And I was like, oh, I guess life does go on.
So he doesn't leave much room for the self-pity.
He's not very
much-
touchy-feely.
No, let's just get on with this now, he says.
Yeah. I did get a bit down about it in primary school. I was right at the end of primary school, and I had a friend kind of turn around to me and be like, Karen, you just want everyone to feel sorry for you, because I'd been bringing it up every opportunity I had for a couple of weeks, because I was focusing on it. And when she said that, I was so insulted, but that's a good friend.
Yep.
And she pulled me up out of thinking about it too much, and it really helped.
Sometimes it's that person you need to, they'll let you sort of wallow about it, I guess. But then there comes a time where they go, well, come on.
Yeah.
If you keep doing this.
There are so much worse things.
Exactly.
And I guess my question is, in first year psychology, that idea that we're taught of with illness and disease, you get given this space that Parsons came up with called the sick space, whereas you can take time out to deal with it, but then you must continue to join and
contribute to society.
Yeah, absolutely. So what's been your experience of that in the 13 years that since you've been diagnosed, of then moving back into it and encountering other people's reactions to that imminent sense of potentially loss?
Like the adaptation process.
Yeah.
There's something actually very important that I should probably say here that would be advice to anyone speaking to someone with a condition like this. And I don't know whether I can actually speak for everybody, but for my mum and for myself, it is so much easier to not skirt around it, to talk about it directly and to laugh about it and joke about it. It's so mumuch easier, because if you're not laughing and joking about it, then you're going to end up getting upset about it.
Yeah.
So, one of Buckley's friends, my boyfriend, we were hanging out with her for the first time. She was kind of getting to know me, and we had a great big night out. And at one point she had this brilliant joke that she was holding on to, and she's like, oh, I want to say it, but I don't know if it's too far. And she said, I can't remember what it was. It was just a crack about, not seeing something coming or something like that. And it was beautiful. And things like that just break the ice and get it to be.
Before she told Karen that, she came over to me first and asked whether it was okay. And I told her that that's how they deal with it. So definitely don't not say it.
Yeah.
We actually were even looking at making a little comic book. My sister's a good cartoonist, about my mum with the little things that she does to cope with going blind. Because
How old's your mum?
She's 62.
And she's had the condition for how long?
She was probably about mid-30s when she found out. So it's a really slow progression. And that's not normal, actually. We've got a strange version of retinitis pigmentosa. It's white dots on the retina instead of black dots, and it's slower moving.
Okay.
That's good.
Yeah. Some people can get it and have a really aggressive form and go completely blind in 2 years.
Yeah.
So at the moment, is your mum just partially blind?
Actually, just the last 2 months, she hit fully blind.
Yeah,
Okay.
she got to see my face before she went blind.
Just
Lucky woman.
Lucky.
I had to stand back about 10 meters, and she could see the size of a 20-cent piece
had to be broad daylight.
in broad daylight too.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
And it was in black and white, she said. So,
Yeah.
But that was the last. Yeah.
Now, when Karen was telling me the story, and I know you're not a macho man. You're a dude, right?
Yeah.
Actually, you were telling me the story that when Karen mentioned that she's got this condition,
Yeah.
and that the children have a high percentage chance of contracting it.
50-50 chance, yeah.
What did you say to her?
Well, it was when we first met, and we were just getting together, and it was a pretty big thing that she wanted to let me know. Pardon me. She told me that there's a 50-50 chance that our kids will develop retinitis pigmentosa, and she was worried that might be a deal breaker if we wanted to start a family. And I looked at her and I said, if there's a 50-50 chance of bringing anyone as beautiful as you into this world, as if I wouldn't take it.
God damn it.
Now you made me cry.
Oh, man. I remember when you told me that, I was like, I want this guy. Can he marry me instead?
Back off, Rhys.
And part of that, I mean, I think across generations, I'm curious to know, is it that blindness or that any other form of sensory loss isn't what it used to be? As in, we're living in a society now that has changed markedly, that doesn't deal with blindness or say the loss of your ability to speak. Has that changed for you?
Oh, hugely. Yeah, we live in such a good world. I couldn't imagine this happening in the 1500s or something.
Yeah.
But people probably didn't live long enough.
You probably would have been sent out to the farm and to go hunting.
I was thinking this morning they've got all sorts of things designed for blind people. Like my mum, she wanted to get a guide dog, and you can't get one straight out. You have to do the white cane course.
Yeah.
And she did not want to do the white cane course. She didn't want to have to wear a visually impaired person, a VIP badge, and have to carry around a stick, and everyone knows she's blind. But when she did it, she was so relieved, because it's better than having a dog. You can put it away. You don't have to take it out for walks. You don't have to take it out to poop. You don't have to feed it, brush it, all of that.
Yeah, cool.
And she got her freedom back when she did it. But little things that they do all throughout the city, like they've got the bumps in the cement that you feel. I have a blind travel pass. I have a blind travel pass that lets me travel, but it recently doesn't have the little chip on it that the Go cards have.
Right.
If you catch public transport, you have to get through these electronic gates. And these cards aren't designed to do it, so you can stand around for 5 minutes, 10 minutes waiting for a person who works there to come and let you through, but they've just upgraded that.
Cool.
I feel like they're keeping really up to date with everything like that.
We were talking off air about an article that I read in The Good Weekend about a 14-year-old guy who's hassling the bank in Australia to put braille or marked dots on money so he can tell how much money he's dealing with. He got a Christmas card and he had to ask his mum how much money he got, and felt really disempowered by that. And there's these marked changes that he's putting forward, and so it's obviously something that you're considering for your future as well, of just in terms of accessibility, how you get around and what you do in those senses.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As far as the money thing goes, I think that's so beautiful, and I hope he gets it done. But there are lots of little tricks and tools out there that people aren't aware of. So they have a little card that you carry around in your wallet. It's the same size as a business card, so it fits with all your others. And it's got little lines and marks on it, so you put a note from your wallet up against it, and then you fold it over the top, and it'll reach a certain level to show you, because all the notes are slightly different sizes, and it can show you what they are. But it's a lot of messing around. It takes time, and it's much easier for you to just open up your wallet and be like, is that a 50? And if it's a 10 and they accept it, great.
Yeah.
So, as your condition progresses, have you found that you're having to come to terms with things like that, and are you sort of being introduced to those things and, I guess, seeing and testing them out?
Yeah, definitely. I have to learn how to go by feel a lot.
Yep.
I actually can't see in the dark. That's one of the symptoms of what I have.
Yep.
So it's like getting a bit of a taste of what it's going to be like.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a bit scary if you're scared of the dark.
Are you?
No,
Okay,
I'm
good.
not. No, I'm getting used to it. But it's one of those things when you're with someone, you've got to teach them to lead you around.
Yep.
And, it's easiest if you hold on to their elbow and you can feel them stepping up and stepping down. And as long as they can tell you step up, step down, it's good. But if they say, there's a step coming up,
But
you
where?
have no idea.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like someone told me a step once, and it was about 1.5 feet high. It was a wall, pretty much, and so I scraped all down the front of my leg. There's little things you've got to learn to teach other people to be able to help you.
Yeah, like shutting doors and not leaving cupboards open and stuff like that. When I went and visited her mother, I left a beer bottle on the bench and it got knocked over. She caught it. It was pretty amazing.
Incredible.
How quickly she
Wow.
caught it, but it's that simple to trip up someone when they can't see. Yeah.
So things like I guess, palpatory awareness and that sort of thing. Have you noticed in yourself sort of like heightened senses since your vision's started to degrade?
So sometimes I have an incredible set of hearing.
Yeah?
I don't know if you call it a set,
Yeah.
but it's very, very good. When our very first osteo class, do you remember? We were given a board that had a bunch of
Yes.
letters and numbers glued. It was just a blank board with letters and numbers
Yeah.
glued on it that were three-dimensional shapes and a cloth over it.
Yeah.
I figured out every single one of those straight away. I was so proud of myself.
That's awesome. Yeah. So you think that that's something that you're going to be able to develop and practice further, more so than people who have vision in our course?
Yeah, do you have an advantage over us?
Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe.
I think
Yeah.
that she'd be already thinking about it more than anyone else. She would already be not using her eyes as much
Yeah.
as everybody else that is learning at the moment. I think
Definitely.
Yeah.
I think that would be a natural thing.
Do you find yourself closing your eyes when you're doing palpation?
Absolutely, I do.
And
Or
doesn't it
I
help you to-
deathly, well, not deathly, but blankly stare at something
Yeah.
as though I've been possessed by some kind of
Yeah.
thing.
And I think we've all seen the osteopathic middle distance stare as
Yeah,
well.
that thing.
If you've
Yeah.
been to a practitioner who just has this ability to, like Rhys says, stare off into the distance like they're channeling something from somewhere. But it's also that I often find myself, especially working around the head, even though we're first and second years, just closing the eyes really brings in that sense of, okay, I need to see through my hands now. I need to be able to perceive this way.
Eyes in your fingertips.
Yeah,
they call it.
absolutely. Yeah.
And
And-
so, sorry, Dubs. Rhys mentioned that that was one of the main reasons why you decided to pursue a career in osteopathy. Can you tell us a little bit about that story?
Yeah. I straight out of high school, I had no idea what I wanted to do.
I don't think
And-
anyone does.
Oh, I know. They pressure you to feel like you do. And
Yeah.
all I wanted to do was travel. And I sort of used the excuse of, I'm going to see the world while I can, which was a bit
As in see the world,
cheesy.
like visually see it.
visually see it while I still can. And it was my excuse to go and travel for about 7 years. And it was great. But when I was starting to settle down, I felt really lost because I didn't know what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
And I've always been the biggest advocate for osteopaths since I threw my back out once and I was sourcing a good chiropractor, just asking people, who's good. And someone told me to go to an osteopath. They said, you'll never look back. And I went and friggin' loved it. They were just so incredible. And years later, when I was trying to figure out what direction I wanted to go in, what I wanted to do, I was looking at what I'd be able to do. And it's so limiting. Like when you're job hunting and you're looking at things on the internet, you don't realize how many jobs you need a license for.
Yeah.
It's a big deal. And someone suggested for me, they said, well, you love osteopaths. Why don't you go and do osteopathy? And as soon as I said it, it was like a light bulb above my head.
You just knew it was right.
I would love to be able to do what they do.
Yeah.
And my mum hurt her back once and I went along to the osteopath with her because she needs a bit of help. You're on a table and they're asking you to lie back and she doesn't realize she's sitting on it sideways, and if she lies back she's going to fall off the end of it, things like that. So I went in to give her a bit of direction.
Yep.
And the osteopath was legally blind and he was brilliant. He's the one that they call in when they've got someone who's recovering from an injury or surgery, or he's a specialist. He's really good. His name is Sam. And
Do you still keep in contact?
no, but he told me about SCU, so
Oh,
that was
Great.
pretty cool. Yeah, and he was brilliant, and he was still doing it, and he was a lot more blind than I am. Like, I'm on the spectrum, but he was further down there. And he was really good, and it was so empowering to see that he can do it still. It's one of those jobs that you can do. They should start pretty much a blind school to teach people how to do it.
wow.
I'm-
Apparently there is quite a community of blind osteopaths. I've spoken to a few fifth year students and they know, one or two blind osteopaths. And, perhaps this could be one of the many sort of disciplines that people with, vision loss or any kind of loss, I think it's just important to sort of break down whatever ailment you have and go, like you are, all right, I've got it. Well, I've got it.
It limits this, and this.
Exactly. Let's
What
be
doesn't it
pragmatic.
limit?
Yeah.
Let's be, practical about this. Let's move forward. Let's look at this. This is what I can do. Bang.
Yeah. So, Karen, one thing I looked at in knowing that we were going to have this conversation was, okay, we've got vision loss as something that is happening in your reality. I'm curious though, because I typed in, well, where are we at with regaining vision? Where are we at with the future? What is technology doing? And I suddenly looked at this one site on YouTube, Bionic Eye. What's your take on what the future represents for, because currently there's no treatment for your condition?
Yeah, there's no treatment,
Yeah.
but they're working on it.
Yeah. And from what I was looking at in the 10 minutes that I took to do it, is that there is, in the 10 years at this one school at University of New South Wales, they've developed something that's pretty convincingly, sight, and will only get better as time goes along. What's your take on this?
Oh, I think I'm so lucky to be living in the age that I'm living in. If you look at what they're developing, they've got about 5 different versions, different angles that they're looking at. They're looking at developing a bionic eye, just like the bionic ear. They're looking at one that's a set of glasses with a camera. They're looking at another that's an implant into your eye. They're looking at stem cell research. And that was something I never would have heard of it unless I'd gotten the condition. But when I was 12, they were talking about stem cell research, and they weren't allowed to do it. It was morally wrong. But now they've got ways that's completely acceptable, not morally wrong at all. They get it from they get stem cells from amniotic fluid and the skin, all sorts of things like that. So they've got the go ahead to do it. And the things that they've developed now, my mum's doctor said, don't rush in and get the first thing that they get, because look at a mobile phone and look how much it's changed in 10 years. From a giant brick with an aerial to being a supercomputer, Siri and everything. Yeah. So by the time I really start to need it, which will probably be maybe mid-30s, 40s, maybe 50, 60 if I'm lucky as my mum.
And how old are you now?
25. So I feel like I get all these benefits in the meantime. Yeah. And by the time it comes to the crunch and I'm actually going to go blind, it's not even going to happen. So I feel like it's probably one of the best. If you're going to have a disability, I've got one of the luckiest ones. And with the bionic eye specifically, they're designing it for retinitis pigmentosa, which is amazing because it's such a rare disease. You wouldn't think it would be what they were focusing on, but they are.
So does that mean it's one of the rarest, but it's also one of the most treatable in terms of it's the retina, it's accessible?
Oh no, it's not accessible. Okay. It's the back of your eye. It's the optic nerve, which they can't sever. Yeah. Like a cornea transplant, the cornea is the front of your eye. They can actually cut that off and put someone else's on.
Yeah, you can donate your corneas.
There's a bionic, I think it's bionic, but there's a fake cornea that they've developed very recently. And the condition that I've got, keratoconus, deals with the cornea. It's being misshapen, lack of collagen. So it's thin, and it's sort of, instead of being a perfectly round shape, which would allow light to hit the cones and rods perfectly and have clear vision, mine is misshapen, so the light that hits my cornea isn't accurate in hitting the cones and rods and those light sensitive areas. So I get a lot of halo vision. I definitely haven't got 20/20. And I'm constantly having to wear contact lenses or glasses. Never at the same time yet, but I saw that on IFL Science. I think it was. And you just flick on that website, if you believe it or not, whatever. And there's just so many things that they're coming up with, like they're restoring sight in blind mice to return their daylight vision. So it might not be the your condition specifically, but they're dealing with the rods and the cones. And there's another thing called optogenetics, which is they implant a virus in the person's eye, which then somehow targets the healthy cones and rods, which then produces protein to repair them / stop them from progressing, degenerating.
That's incredible. Where did you find that?
IFL Science.
That's great.
And just, there's bunches of stuff on like the databases here at SCU and any other kind of database, I guess.
IFL Science is still a pretty credible source. I mean, they do reference a lot of their studies.
Yeah.
And at the very least, spreading ideas anyway.
Exactly.
Look into it more yourself. And,
exactly.
Whatever they might,
And that's what yesterday I was looking at a few little genome projects that are going on, and you mentioned earlier the moral and ethical parts of things like working with stem cells. And if the future of, say, biomedicine and the medicine that we're looking at means that simple things. You get your genome tested, which you can do for $99 now, and it will only get cheaper. And maybe in the future, everyone in the population will go to the GP and already have their genome mapped, which means that, pharmaceuticals, will or will not work for your particular genome that you represent. And you used that idea before of, don't go for the first iPhone that comes out, because, in the future, the new ones will be better. So don't go for any kind of therapy that is the first one. What does it mean for you in the future, for both of you possibly, the idea of knowing your genome, being able to know what is coming, not necessarily just for retinitis pigmentosa,
You got it.
but for particular traits? We're all mostly working in the health-related industry. Is there moral or ethical discussion that goes on in regards to treating using genetic or gene therapy?
I think if you could have a look at your genes and see what you're vulnerable towards, like, for example, breast cancer, then there are precautions that you can take. I read in pharmacology studies, they were talking about alcohol intake affecting breast cancer. Or, for example, if you've got not just a history, but a genome showing that you've got the potential for cardiac problems or something like that, there's so many things that you can do to avoid that gene expressing itself, which is something they're only learning about recently.
Well, they have targeted the specific gene for a type of breast cancer.
Yeah.
That if you express that particular gene, then your chances of getting it are extremely high.
So you know to have regular checkups. And
exactly, but that also brings the conflict of, do I get tested if I'm a female? And what if I do have that particular gene? Do I then get a mastectomy?
Yeah.
Or do I just live life oblivious to possibly contracting cancer in the future?
That's pretty heavy, I suppose, having hanging over you. But knowledge is power.
Exactly.
That's it.
And so
but ignorance is bliss at the same time. So
and so there's that question of, there's diagnosis and there's prognosis. If at the age of 12 you hadn't been diagnosed, do you ever do that sliding doors thing of, well, would it still be a reality? Not would it eventually come to me, but is there a moment of hindsight for you that just thinks, I wish I didn't?
That's a very interesting thought.
Yeah.
Someone actually asked me once, they said, what if your mother knew that when she had you, you were going to have it? Would she still go ahead and have a baby knowing that it was going to have her disease and suffer the level that she is suffering?
Yeah.
And I'm so glad she had me. Oh, my God.
yeah.
When they said that to me, it made me want to take a step back and be like, oh, one day, when we want to have kids, maybe going through IVF and trying to make sure that they don't have it. What we were saying with all their developments anyway, it probably wouldn't really be a big problem if our child was to have it. But being able to prevent it would be great.
Yeah, sure.
But if you're going to be picking and choosing which child you're going to have, it's not really leaving much up to nature and destiny.
And if you are picking and choosing, do you also want your child to be extremely athletic?
Exactly.
Yeah, when does it stop?
Yeah,
You know,
it's that slippery slope.
You play all the video games, you can create your own character. Maybe that's what life will be like.
It's an interesting point as well, because these things create our characters.
Exactly.
The flaws you have.
That's it.
And isn't that part of what represents the diversity of the human race as well? Or I guess of any sentient being, is that we are born with different genetic markers and environment influences them. And I guess for me, what I take away from this conversation is the optimism of moving forward with your unique markers that you've got. And that I know that each and every one of us sitting here has different markers that will probably play out in our livelihoods.
Yeah.
It's just that in the case for Karen, this one is the most present for you right now.
Yeah.
So that diversity and who we are, and the ability, like you say, of living in this time, in this place, in this country, means that it's not actually what it, say in the 1950s, it used to be. It's not that massive disability.
That's so true.
But I couldn't, I visited a blind massage center in northern Thailand because, the access to society isn't as free or I guess available in a lot of developing countries or a lot of different countries. And so just for me, that was that point of hitting home of, wow, we do actually have it a lot better off than a lot of other people.
Yeah, absolutely. Darby, I believe it's almost 1 o'clock.
Wonderful.
So if you need to head off, that's cool, man.
Great.
Jelly, You sticking around? Because I personally want to keep this going for a little bit longer. How are you guys going?
I'm
Yeah.
fine.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Sweet, because I've got a lot of things that I'd like to
Yeah,
discuss. This is Darby jetting off.
Bye, everyone. See you next week.
Thanks, Darby.
See you then, bro.
See you later, Darby.
Drive safe.
Right, so osteopathy. I was doing a bit of research about osteopathy in the cranial field and its effectiveness in restoring vision / preventing it from getting worse. And I come across one interesting article on the Journal of American Osteopathic Association, JAOA. Now, all these links that we talk about, they'll be uploaded with the podcast when they do. And it was only 29 people they studied. 15 people were put on the control group, which didn't get any osteopathic cranial treatment, and 14 did. And of the participants that were part of the research, they found that to be eligible to be even tested and researched upon, you had to have certain astigmatisms, long-sightedness, far-sightedness. And they actually found that the people that got treatment had a significant change and improvement of their vision. Granting that osteopathy in the cranial field, somehow, I don't think they physiologically know how, but there has been a very positive response.
That's incredible. It could be increasing blood flow or increasing the flow of the nerves.
Many things.
Removing
many things.
toxins.
But this minute research, which they state, 29 people, that's not a massive populace at all. So there has to be more that has to be done. But looking at osteopathy from your perspective and what you know so far, and I assume you've done some sort of research into, vision and osteopathy?
A little.
A little? The prospect of cranial osteopathy being a big thing in improving vision, just give us your thoughts about where you would like to see this kind of thing affect you and help you out. Like, do you have any sort of theories that you might perceive that I think this could be really helpful, like in your own opinion?
Well, osteopathy is holistic. It's a whole body study. It's a whole body. What's the word I'm looking
Practice,
for?
I guess.
Practice.
Yeah.
Perfect. So I think if you were to I did ask my doctor one day. I said, do you think increasing blood flow to my eye or something like that would be able to change much? And he's like, no, it's a hereditary disease. Like, it's there.
Ugh.
It was a very closed
Yeah.
mindset, biomedical.
Yeah.
And I don't think we should be closed off to those sorts of things. There's so many things that we can affect that we don't even know we can affect.
Exactly. Apparently, merely by sucking your thumb, it releases the sleep hormone, I think melatonin.
Melatonin.
It releases the sleep hormone melatonin because it presses via the ethmoid or the sphenoid bone. It presses upon your pineal gland.
Oh, wow.
I think it's your pineal gland in your brain.
Yeah, that's...
Yeah, and which then causes the release of different hormones to get you to sleep. Hence, maybe why babies suck their thumbs.
That is so beautiful.
Maybe. Yeah.
I was reading Still's autobiography, and so many of the things that he was talking about, he just observed from nature, and he says that's where it starts.
Yep.
And that's where it finished. Things like he would talk about a horse or a donkey that had been pulling a cart all day, and he said he watched it as soon as it was let out of its shackles. What it would do is it would go out on the grass and it would roll over and roll back and forwards, flicking its spine around, rubbing into the ground, which is exactly what its body needed.
Yep.
Like if you look at yoga, it's all about doing one pose that stretches certain muscles and then a pose that relaxes those ones. It's back and forth, one to the other. And that's exactly, what a dog or a horse is doing when they're rolling on their backs.
Sure.
So there's sucking on your thumb, things like that. There's a lot that we could learn from just observation.
Aldous Huxley. Who's heard of him?
No.
No? Okay. Well, he was an author back...
Brave New World.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's the guy that wrote Brave New World.
Yeah, I have heard of him.
He was pretty much blind, completely blind. All right? And it says on his book, Aldous Huxley, The Art of Seeing. Now, what essentially is he brought himself back to vision by training the eyes. Not through any medication, but training the eyes and not using spectacles, I guess they were back then, which would be our glasses. Because by using them, you're not using the muscles. So if you don't train a muscle, it atrophies.
Yeah.
And the muscles in your eye are responsible for contracting and dilating your pupil, which allows you to see far close wherever. So he, merely just by training his eye muscles of looking far and near and doing different exercises, brought his vision back.
He healed himself.
Restored his vision back without any pharmaceuticals, because I assume this is in the early 1938. I see a reference, 1938, so early 1900s. So just merely by doing that, it's not the same condition as yours, but I feel that there is a lot of things that can be done just purely by training muscles and looking at things out of the box, such as what osteopathy does. Now, that's all fine and good, but going through my eye condition, I've noticed that every time I go for a checkup, I either have the same script of contact lenses and glasses, which is good, but I've also found that not wearing them for a day or two, like self-experimentation, I've kind of improved my vision. And I think that's because I'm actually testing my eyesight. Now, there's a biomechanist called Katie Bowman, and she has written a few books, and she's got her own website and podcast. And she refers to glasses and things like this as casts. So similar casts that you would put on your arm when you break it.
Yep.
You put it on your arm. It's immobile for 6 weeks or so. You take it off, and it's just a skeleton merely. Like, your muscles have atrophied so much, you need to train it back up. Well, she perceives glasses and other eyewear as casts because the eyes are weak. So let's go get a checkup. Let's go get glasses on. Oh, fixed. But you're not actually training the muscles. So there's that predicament of, you're getting an immediate fix, but you're also not.
It's a Band-Aid.
Exactly. It's just a Band-Aid. It's just a cast because you're actually making it worse, but it's immediate fix. So to you, it seems better.
That's like pharmacology versus naturopathy. Pharmacology will treat what the problem is, but you're reliant on that drug forever. Yeah. Depending on what it is. Whereas naturopathy, they're slowly retraining your body to do what it's forgotten how to do or what it's not doing properly.
Yeah, it's so many different things, and I really feel there is a shift that is occurring where people are giving more time and I guess consideration for alternative, what has been perceived as alternative, which I think is just not pharmaceuticals and not traditional medicines.
Not taught in a medical degree.
Exactly. Not taught in a medical degree, which, plays in our role because we're an alternative type medicine. But at the same time, we're all here just to help people. But osteopathy is doing its bit. And I think if we can work in conjunction with other practitioners, then so be it. But yeah. Do you have anything else to add? Anything you want to mention?
Anything in particular?
I'm kind of running low right now. I've hit a mind blank, to be honest.
Where are your questions?
My questions, they've pretty much been asked.
Oh,
I'm here just to chill out.
Yeah.
Converse.
I feel like the main body of conversation in these podcasts, and it seems to be just like the theme that we follow in every podcast, is just what is osteopathy? What is holistic health?
Yeah.
Why and how are we starting to learn more about it and apply it in mainstream Western medicine, and where health is going for future generations? And I think for us being such young, naive, first-year osteopathic students, we've got this great vision and this great passion for something we find so exciting and full of infinite possibility. So yeah, I think as soon as we've dipped our fingers into that bucket with each podcast, as long as that's mentioned, that we are aware that we are just first years, and we are aware that we're still learning.
Yeah.
We have the right intentions. Like,
it's going to be beautiful being able to look back on these and watch how you've progressed and
Absolutely.
see you had it from the beginning.
yeah.
As it like the podcast you're talking about, or osteopathy?
Oh, all of it.
Yeah.
All of it. You know what?
Yeah.
The way I found myself describing osteopathy last night was...
Does it change like every time? For me, when I ever explain osteopathy to someone, it's like, I'll just use this definition now. I'll just riff
there's
off on
so
this
many
bit.
examples. Well, I used CrossFit. So do either of you guys do CrossFit?
I'm aware of it. I don't do it.
Yeah, you're aware of it.
Yeah.
I'm
Anyone
aware.
who does CrossFit never stops talking about CrossFit. Everyone's aware of CrossFit.
Yeah.
Osteopathy is a bit the same. Once you start it, you just get so addicted to it. I'm glad it's a 5-year degree because there's so many things I feel we haven't even scratched the surface of.
And you know what? I reckon after that 5 years, we'll finish it and be like, okay, now let's learn something that we're going to use
Get
while
into
we
the
practice.
journals.
You know
Exactly.
why I find it's really interesting that you mentioned it was like CrossFit, because I find CrossFit isn't for everyone either.
Yeah.
There are a certain subset of people that really enjoy like the plyometric, calisthenic, gymnastic, explosive movements that are involved
works
in
for them.
CrossFit. It
Like,
does. It
you
works
know.
really well for some
Yeah.
people, and for others they like something different, maybe a little bit more gentle or subtle or
That's a,
whatever. But osteopathy in the same way attracts a certain type of person.
yeah.
And like in your first year, I mean, we're a pretty close-knit group. I mean, in our first year, we had people who dropped out who just knew it wasn't for them.
Yeah.
And we've had people who have stuck beside us, and we've had some really, really beautiful friendships blossom from it, in that we all just have that same sort of mindset, and we have that all same sort of drive and passion
Yeah.
for this, growing era of medicine.
This same topic was brought up in my podcast with Andre last week.
Yeah.
That people that have seen a physio their whole life, they can go see an osteo, but although they might be doing very similar, somewhat shared techniques, because they're going to see an osteo, it doesn't work for them because they don't believe it's going to work.
Yeah.
So
And
yeah,
it's not for everyone. That's exactly
Yeah.
it. I mean, I've myself have seen so many different types of therapists in my past for heaps of different types of injuries or different types of recovery, whether it be physical, emotional, mental, whatever. And for me, like I've been seeing a kinesiologist as well, which has a lot of similar crossover. But for me, osteopaths have always been able to holistically identify the root cause or the origin of a problem
That's it.
without me having to come back
Yeah.
or without the symptoms repeating themselves. And it's all about self-awareness and education. And I find that in osteopathy, that's something that we really drill into our patients, is just taking responsibility for your own health and being completely aware of the fact that, yeah, maybe the environment didn't cause this issue. Maybe
Yeah.
you created this issue, and you
Absolutely.
need to know how to stop creating this issue for yourself.
now responsibility.
Yep.
Buckley,
Yes.
we hear about Karen's side of things.
Yeah.
Now you seem very close. I can see that. You're very much in love to me.
Yeah. Yeah. we
Your
are.
role seems to be a somewhat quiet role in the background.
Yeah.
Can you elaborate a bit on that?
Quiet.
I'm not the quietest person. Well, when I went and met Karen's parents, she was quite worried that I would, see the future and go running.
Yeah.
And it wasn't like that at all. Like a lot of it for me, it's been really just seeing her attitude. It's been very uplifting. Like anyone that knows Karen can see that she's a very happy person and lovely to be around. And just seeing her attitude towards it, yeah, just really, it is uplifting.
Yeah.
But it is tough. Like, she, I see her father, and, he's been dealing with it for a lot longer than I have. I've known Karen for a year now. And he would pull me aside every now and again and just explain a few things to me and show me a few things. And I think he was testing to see how I felt as well.
Yeah.
And I passed.
That's a bonus.
But he didn't try and sugarcoat it either. He really showed me what it was going to be like. And if I did something like left the door open, like he'd tell me that you can't do that. You need to be thinking more about that. But no, like, I mean, Karen can't see at nighttime,
Yeah.
so you're going out at the clubs and stuff like that. I'm always thinking about her and
Yeah.
and where she is and how she's positioning herself. Even on the dance floor, I'd move her
Yeah.
around so she's closer to my friends because she can't see them.
Oh, bless.
And
Aw.
there's lots of little things I
Wow.
do think about, but I definitely don't see it as a chore. I enjoy being around her, and I get an opportunity to be that person for her.
God damn, you're a real
So-
man.
Yeah.
You're a real man.
It is such a great learning curve, and it seems like really good character building for yourself as
Yeah,
well. Like
yeah.
you're acquiring quite a set of skills that a lot of people don't have.
Yeah, and she's so appreciative too. It's not a hard thing to do.
Which is
And,
very important.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And,
Can I just interrupt that? It is actually a very hard thing to do, and other people have struggled with it hugely, and you're amazing with it.
yeah.
That's
The,
that's
yeah.
lovely.
And the other thing is like the fact that she can't drive.
Yep.
You know, like we go see her family a fair bit, so I'm always the one driving. But it, like I said, it's I don't know. I don't feel it. I don't feel the pressures that people seem to think are there. I don't know. I don't know.
I think it comes down to your intention as well. I mean, the whole point of giving, they say, is just to give out of the generosity and the kindness of your heart without expecting anything in return. And it seems that this type of love is very genuine, and you don't expect anything in return. Everything that you could ever need, ask, and want, it seems like Karen is providing that
exactly.
for you.
And you know, I've only met her since she started doing osteopathy, like just to get back to that
Yeah.
a little bit. And I can see that giving her a lot of confidence. And I feel like it was a great time to meet her. She's, excited about the future and thinking about the future and talking about it a lot. And it's a very good time to be around her. So I don't know, I don't feel the pressures as much as some might think. I'm coming to the end of my degree now too, and ready to, start a family and everything like that. So it's
A little while. 5-year degree.
but like at least thinking about it,
Yeah.
like we have to have that conversation from the start when we
course.
first got together, like we mentioned before. So, yeah.
I look
lot
at
of
you guys and I get a sense of envy. Like, I look at different people and I go, oh, I wish I had that, or that'd be really good to get. And I look at you guys and I want that as well, but
Yeah.
it's one of those things that you just got to be a special kind of person.
Yeah.
There's nothing better than having. Can I call you two soulmates? You reckon?
Yeah.
You reckon? Yeah.
Yeah.
To me, that is beautiful, and the fact that you're still hanging around, and it doesn't bother you. In fact, you are so welcome to it that I get emotional.
Yeah.
Like I got emotional as you were explaining that just then.
Yeah, she calls me Mr. Silver Lining.
And that is a real person. That's a real human being.
Yeah,
That
thank you.
You can see through, and I use these in bunny ears, flaws, right?
Yeah.
They're not. They're just things that you've used and adapted to and grown closer to,
Yeah.
which I think can be a life lesson for just about anything.
Yeah. Like, I mean, I love, we have to hold hands when we're walking at night, and I enjoy that. She gets away from me for a little bit and then she'll come running over to me again, like try and find me. I can't see why anyone would not feel loved in that situation
Yeah.
where she needs me,
When Karen was saying that when you're out at a nightclub, what's that thing that you do to distinguish who Buckley is?
Yeah, that's right. That's pretty funny.
Oh, his facial hair grows in two strange directions. Down one cheek, it grows downwards, and down the other cheek, it grows upwards. So if someone comes up to me and grabs me, I just grab their face and feel it. And if it's not right, it's not right. And if it is, he gets a kiss.
What if the guy has the same? That'd be kind of awkward.
I've got a really good excuse then, don't I? Joking.
Yeah, I've seen her do that to other people, and you should see the look on her face.
No.
She's like, she touches their face, then goes, oh, like hands up, backs off.
And they don't know what's going on. They
No,
don't
they don't
realise.
have a clue. Yeah. They probably think that she's into it, and then she's pushing them away.
Oh, actually, you're ugly. What?
Yeah, you're not Buckley.
They probably just think I'm not a fan of facial hair.
I will come back to this nightclub next week and I'll be clean shaven.
It can be quite scary at nightclubs because there's people so close to you. And
Yeah.
our kind of age, people don't come up and ask you, would you like to dance? They kind of sidle up behind you and get all close. And I can't tell when there's someone coming up behind me unless, I've got a real kind of need to train those vibes
Yeah.
sense. But quite often Buckley will come and just grab me and sort of pull me in a different direction.
Yeah, she always comes. And I know a lot of my friends, like, they'll come over to me and, they'll ask me whether they should go help Karen if they think that she's in trouble and stuff. And I've always told them to just walk over and say hello. Like,
Yeah.
when we were at a music festival, there was a couple of people hanging around her that shouldn't be. And so friends of mine noticed that and came over and were just like, oh, should we go help her out? I'm like,
Yeah.
yeah, of course you should. She probably can't see them there, you know.
Yeah.
Like,
But
so-
speaking of vibes, I find it interesting that you mentioned. Have you looked into sort of the intuitive awareness side of osteopathy? The that no palpatory sense, the distance between yourself and your patient, and being able to gauge things like energy and magnetism and things like that. Do you think that that's something you might want to be able to develop as your vision starts to go?
That is something I so want to be able to develop.
Yeah.
I have noticed little things, little experiences I've had where I have felt that so strongly, just a really heavy gut feeling
Amazing.
about a person, someone that I couldn't even see, actually. They were about maybe 20 feet in front of me.
Yeah.
And it was a heavy, awful gut feeling, hackles up, hair standing up on the back of your neck. And I didn't want to be left behind from a group of people I was walking with. And I had a dog on a leash.
Yeah.
And we kept going maybe another 10 feet, and then the dog stopped. You know, dogs have a sixth sense.
Yeah.
This dog stopped in its tracks, and the hair was up on the back of its neck. And I figured there was actually a person about 10 feet up from us. It was a junkie.
Right.
He was a junkie, shouldn't say it. Sitting on the side of the street.
Could have been an it. You never know.
Sitting on the side of the street. He had a smile on his face. He looked like a really nice guy. And the dog would not go near him. We had to do a great big semicircle, a 10-foot radius to get around him. And I felt that before the dog felt it.
Yeah. So do you find that, funny that you mentioned dogs sort of have like a sixth sense. Humans possibly have this sixth sense that is now starting to be researched and studied in things like quantum physics and even osteopathy in the cranial field. That's something that maybe future generations or even our generation is going to pioneer and investigate further and hopefully develop as, a type of medicine.
I hope so.
Yeah?
I hope so.
That we could use in diagnostics and things like that, because there are a few osteopaths out there at the moment who are quite well known in just their intuitive senses, even intuitive kinesiologists and stuff. And I think back in the day that used to be sort of black magic and witchcraft and, a little bit too airy-fairy, but now we're getting sort of like empirical research and things like that. I mean, you mentioned like intuition and, hair standing up on the back of your neck or that really deep gut feeling, like they're starting to become a little bit more measured. Is research something that you've ever thought of doing?
Not really. I love that you're talking about this, because I feel like it's something, from what we're learning, it's something we all feel. And everyone that I've chatted to who's, fourth year or fifth year, I remember starting the course and actually asking, is there a way I could do osteopathy and avoid all the airy-fairy kind of wishy-washy stuff? And someone said, I feel like you'd be missing out on the biggest part of it. Yeah. And I thought about that because I don't really like things that aren't solid and proven, because I want to be a medical practitioner. I want to be accepted professionally. I don't want to seem flaky or like something that's, not proven. And I love the fact that they are proving it, because it means we don't just have to quietly use that without telling the patients and in the background sort of.
But at the same time, it does take a great deal of belief and faith, because it isn't that well known in our society, and it won't be not well known by our patients either. So do you feel that it might be your responsibility soon as a practitioner to start informing your patients and society about that side of osteopathy?
I feel like informing them, yes, education's so important, but I feel like you'd almost have to start with proving it. Yeah. Like if you were to, place your hands over their body, not touching them, and notice something and be like, there's a problem here. Yeah. And if it was obviously, turn out to be something, that would show them straight away, and that would open them up to it, and then you could educate them more about it.
Absolutely. I do think that that's what I love the most about osteopathy, and I don't mean to put down any other, modalities of health and healing, but things like, Reiki and even psychic healings and Bowen therapy and things, I think that they are great methods that do sometimes work on some people. The only thing that they're lacking is scientific studies to really prove it to our very westernized way of thinking, to really help create change and shift the perception on health and what health is and what's creating a detriment in health in our society. So that's something that I'm really looking forward to.
I think the difficulty in that is, how do you test that? How do you research that? How do you research the effectiveness of something like Reiki?
Well, that's why I mentioned the research that's happening at the moment in, quantum mechanics and certain quantum theories at the moment, coming all the way down to subatomic particles and vibrations and wavelengths and frequencies.
Yep.
We should probably do a podcast on that.
Oh, you should. You really should.
You guys in for that?
Yeah,
If we do?
There's some definite cool stuff to talk about there.
All right, let's G that up.
I think that
Let's
would
look it up.
definitely have to be a whole new podcast.
Quantum
and,
healing.
Possibly even get in an expert in that field.
Yeah, let's
I would love
let's
that.
look into that, because I'm keen for that. I'm pretty sure Darby would be as well.
I think we'd all be.
Yeah,
Great.
Let's G that up.
Okay.
sounds
Well, it's come to about an hour, I think.
Yeah, we've been-
roughly.
Yeah, 55 minutes and 43 seconds now.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for coming in today, Karen and Buck. That was incredible insight
Yeah,
into
You're
into
so
your
welcome.
lives.
Thank
Yeah.
you so much for having us.
yeah. Thank you for
thank you.
opening up.
Yeah.
It's one thing to be all closed off, but I can tell you guys aren't, and it's just good just to talk to genuine, true people that are open.
Likewise. It's
Yeah,
good to listen
thank
to
you.
you too.
Great. We're all for sharing knowledge.
Thank you, Jelly.
Thank you, Rhys.
You weren't here last week,
No,
and
I
and I missed you. I was here flying solo,
You did a good job, though.
hopefully.
Yeah.
But yeah, let's wrap it up. Yeah,
Here's to many more. Thanks,
Yeah.
guys.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, everyone, for listening.
yeah. That's Somantix. This is our fourth one,
Yep.
fourth podcast. So next week we've got a guest lined up.
Yep.
Amanda Hawkins.
Yeah,
Tune in next
many
week.
talents.
On the next episode.
Yeah. But yeah, thank you everyone for listening, for downloading. Thank you for supporting, for not supporting, whichever. Thank you for talking about us. And each podcast that we upload, whatever links that we talk about, we will have those in conjunction with the uploaded podcast. So you can look at it and see for yourself. And look, if you feel like you're interested in coming on, let us know. Jelly, Rhys, that's me, and Darby. Just let us know. We're around SCU, around Lismore, around Byron.
Yeah, you can always talk to Lexa about us as well. They'll
Yeah.
be able to forward on some contact details as well.
Yeah, Lexa. Thank you so much, Lexa, for supporting us. And thank you for the media staff here at SCU for giving us access to this great facility.
Definitely.
And thank you. Next
We'll see you
week,
Next time.
Amanda Hawkins will be there, B Square. And that's it. Have a good day, everybody.
Cheers.